To order, it's for the Board of Selectmen, and it is August 11th, 2022, and it is 6:03 PM. Can I please have everybody stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Okay, first thing on the agenda is Cmrk agreement discussion for the textile bins. And I get that right here. And that's, what does Cmrk stand for?
That's it. That's it. That's all you get.
Yeah, it doesn't say what Cmrk stands for.
Doesn't ever say. I went to their website and everything, and that's just the initials. And I have no idea what it stands for. Did you ever find out?
No.
I didn't. Yeah, I researched it. and could not-
Clothing with a conscience is what their motto is. But.
All right. Did you have something on that?
Yep, so, Mr. Chairman, the board had asked me to review this at the last meeting. This is a recommendation by the Board of Health to have 2 bins stationed out at the Shepherd Building to collect textiles and shoes in these bins, and the town will receive 7 cents per bin collected for these textiles. This is a pretty much a very general memorandum of understanding. It's not really a contract. It's just a mutual agreement. This agreement can be terminated within 30 days and can also be reconciled within 90 days. The town of Warren will be responsible for maintaining the presence around the bin, so if there's like snow or ice or whatever have you, and there's a collection that has to be collected by this company, that it would be the town's responsibility to make sure that that area is cleared of snow and ice, and that they have accessibility to get the textiles that may have been deposited into these bins. So that's something to be made aware of, that we will have to notify if the board moves forward with this. We'll have to notify the highway department when they plow for of this, to make sure it's clear there. It also is agreeable to having the that they are the exclusive textile bin. So they don't want to see us next week go out to another company and solicit another bin next door to them, that they would have exclusivity rights to the town, to have their bins.
What about the one at the dump then?
And we have a Planet A next to the laundry, too. I think it's Planet A.
Is that on town property, or?
Probably not, I guess that.
So this would only be for town property?
All right.
But we have, what, a Salvation Army one at the dump?
But that's theirs.
Oh, is it theirs?
So this would only be,
Who's theirs?
The Salvation one at the dump, she said last week, was their dump. It was their bins.
Who's there, though? Who's theirs?
CMR.
Oh, I see.
so, I mean, this would only pertain to the property of the town.
Okay. Yeah, I don't have a problem with it.
No, I think it's good.
Yeah. Getting clothing for people. So,
And you can't throw it away anyway, right?
nope,
So,
we're reusing it, and we're getting money for it.
yeah.
So is there a specific location that the Board of Selectmen would like this to be placed at the Shepherd Municipal Building?
I would say if it's gonna be placed, it would be placed out here back, in the back.
Okay.
Like where we've had the dumpster?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Have it placed out there.
Is it lit at night?
This is
Any
not,
idea?
no.
No,
No.
I mean, just, do we have lights that shine in that area?
It is lit back then.
Yeah.
Okay. Because there is, an issue with people dumping maybe,
Yep.
so.
So, and if you donate there will be a QR code for you to scan to get a tax incentive noting that you've had a donation.
Cool.
So if that's where the board would like those bins, maybe I will also notify Jeremy that that's where the bins will be.
Yeah, we wouldn't put one at the police station, and
No,
we wouldn't
yeah,
put
yeah.
one at the fire station. They have no room
Yeah.
either place, so.
Yeah.
But you guys do have a bin from somebody
We
else
have
over
two
there.
bins already there for books, so.
For books.
I'm only concerned about taking it on there because I felt like that one. Books are one thing, but, when you talk about clothes and stuff, you tend to get an overflow, and I was afraid that we lose one of our bays if someone really dumped heavy there over the weekend or something like that, because they're right next to where our brush truck bay is, so we kind of keep an eye on that. I thought taking that bin on would be too much, so.
Yeah, that's fine. Do they want us to have more than one location, or does it?
It didn't specify. I think that it doesn't require it in the agreement. I think, I think the premise was to maybe see how this works first.
Sure.
And then, if there's a room to expand, then we could expand.
Yeah, I'd say put it out back there.
Okay.
I wouldn't put it here because that's parking where everybody needs to
Yeah.
park.
Yeah.
And sometimes this parking lot gets filled up.
So where Jim had the dumpsters, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, because really nobody parks there.
But close enough to where, when they plow, they can plow by
Yeah,
it,
Yeah.
exactly. I was
Okay.
thinking the same
not
thing.
further in on the grass.
Okay.
Yeah, they can just kind of swing in and plow
Yeah.
and keep going.
All right.
So I'm good with it.
Very good.
Do we need to do a vote?
Yeah, so
Go along.
if you want to vote acknowledging it, and then we could have you sign the MOU.
Okay. So I'll do a motion to enter into a memorandum of understanding with CMRK Inc. and the town of Warren.
Second,
All in favor?
Derek Davis, aye.
Rich Ihacker, aye.
David Dufresne, aye. The motion passes unanimously.
Okay.
All right, next thing on the agenda is the American Rescue Plan Act money. Okay, so looking at the money, we have some left over, so we have some options, and you were doing some research on it?
Yep. So in your packets, you will see that there's a basic spreadsheet of what the town has spent the first round of ARPA money on, and what is the balance remaining in the account for allocation purposes. You will see that the town was allocated $780,445.74. The next round of allocation will be the same amount. It may possibly already be here, or it may be on its way within the next week or so. And that's based upon, the first round was issued to the town on July 16th of last year, so they don't issue the second round until the year has passed. So it should be any day now if it's not already here. So you have, the town has spent money on the clickers, the hands-free, the testing kits, the essential workers, radio infrastructure project, the cleaning of the building, some miscellaneous items, the camera, TV, nurses, and then the tie and bond, grit screw procurement, and then the actual grit screw. As of today, the tie and bond has been paid out $12,825. There was an estimate of the whole procurement and the design was going to cost somewhere around $29,000. I have not confirmed, although I have reached out to Chris Bone a couple times, and I've missed him a few times, what other bills that we're anticipating for this particular $29,000. Because that, according to their original estimates, they should be wrapping up that project, their end of it within the next couple weeks or so. Then it will go out for procurement for the $130,000. That's estimated for the grit screw. Originally, we had $104,000 in there, but we had some extra money that wasn't used for the master plan. So I made sure that it was covered, it was estimated for 130 for the grit screw, so there's 130 there estimated to cover the grit screw, which still would leave us an unallocated balance of $39,484.56. That is up to the purview of the Board of Selectmen to designate their allocations for that designated amount. You'll see in your packets, there's also some requests that have come forward from various departments. One in particular, the police department, for a couple police cruisers. And during my course of my conversation with the chief, I indicated to him that I believe that this is a very valid use of ARPA funds, and that this would have to definitely be part of the next round of ARPA when we get our second allocation, when we have some more money, which will be very shortly. Right now, we're in a particular good point for trade-in purposes for some of the vehicles that we have. We can get a high value for trade-in. We're buying off of a state bid list, state procured bid list, so we're getting it at a better premium price. So I think it's advantageous for the town to invest in these capital infrastructures for the police, for 2 cruisers, to update the fleet, the aging fleet, keeping on that, being proactive on it, and I think will help us in the long run. That was a determination that, after having a discussion with the chief, that we can look at for a second round. Also in your package, you'll see that there's been discussions for a keyless entry system from the board. I had spoken to one of the businesses today, as instructed by the board. They're going to look to update the quotes, because the quotes that you had received were back in 2021. They estimate about a 10 to 15% increase due to supply chain issues and some of the current pricing structures and supply and demand. But to give you a ballpark idea, those are some of the quotes that I had received from Rich that he had collected last year. You can estimate anywhere between 10 to 15% increase on those prices. And these prices have continued to grow, not only in this particular market, but also in the market when I met with our water department and trying to do some infrastructure projects with them. Pricing changes daily on some of the stuff that they have, and I do have some quotes for them, but I wanted to save those quotes for a little bit until we get the actual allocation of the big money. Then we have it ready, available, which would be any time now. But we still have about $39,000, a little over $39,000 left from the first round that's available. The radio infrastructure project is moving right along. I've worked with Chief Lavoie on some of the issues. He's really, been monitoring the project, and we're going to be working on our repeaters and different issues that we have to address with that. So I think that there's some room here for discussion as to how the rest of the unallocated available balance can be spent. There's also another thing in your package for some tablets. They're Samsung tablets that we're in need of to implement some of our abilities to see who's in and out of the buildings. They're about $119 as people check in and people check out of buildings. To really have all our buildings covered, I'm going to need approximately 6 more tablets than what I have right now. So it's going to be about $720 or so to get those. I was hoping that maybe the board would entertain that at some point, and, you know, have a discussion on, I know I also spoke to the chief on the packs. He's got some quotes, and he's getting some more quotes with the packs, the safety packs as for first responders to go into a critical incident. He's going to have some more structured quotes ready for us very shortly. He has some drafts of some that I'll have a little bit more of an understanding. But those packs that he's looking for is anywhere between, you know, $2,000 to $3,000. It's not a whole heck of a lot of money. Some of the big ticket items you're going to see is going to be in the next round. Some low-level fruit can be taken care of. You know, there's $39,000 right here.
Okay. All right. Do you have any questions?
No.
Derek?
No, sir.
So we have a proposal for the tablets, and you're looking at $800 for those?
Well, like 700, I think, so if you...
Approximately 800.
Yeah, so if you do 1,900, these are the Samsung, and I would hope, Derek, if you looked at those, I don't know if you feel as though that those would be appropriate, but I thought those would be somewhat similar to the one that is working right now. So it's like $720 for 6 of them. And that would give me the ability to cover the municipal buildings.
Okay.
And I'm assuming that these tablets come with their chargers, right, Darren? Yeah.
Yes, sir.
All right. Yeah, I have no problem authorizing those now. You're good with them, Kevin?
Yeah, I'm fine
We'll
with that.
pick this one right off. Say that. So we can do a motion for that one.
All right.
And,
So I'll make a motion to use approximately $720 to purchase 6 Samsung tablets using ARPA money.
Second,
all in favor?
Rich Ihacker, aye.
Derek Bailey's aye.
David Dufresne, aye. The motion passes unanimously.
Thank
Good
you.
with the tablets?
Sir, just want to mention that it's a good thing. We are saving a lot because I was able to make the donation for the software. So the tablets is just a little compliment, but it's going to be a good tool for the administration.
Very good. Thank you. So the access for getting into the buildings, as far as the key fobs system,
Oh,
I'd really like to see something going forward with that, using some of this money towards that. We already know we're not buying a cruiser with this money
Correct.
at this point, because both the vehicles, one's at 47,000, and the other, well, they're both at 47,000 for that. And one's a hybrid version, so we don't have enough money to cover that in the ARPA funding, so that's gonna be picked up the next one, so, which, again, hopefully is soon. I think we all agree with you, you need to have a fleet that is serviceable and dependable, and I don't know why you're driving a little car anyways.
Mr. Ferraro will tell you, he's been going to places with me, I can't even put my equipment in it.
It's tough.
Can we get a little, one of those little fit cars for him?
with a trailer.
And one of those old school European light bars?
You can have the handmade trailer attached to it.
Park in the back of mine. Just in case.
Like an emergency vehicle, just in case if you break down, you got your fit with you?
Chief, whenever you wanna use my Bronco, it's over there.
So, yeah, I don't think any of us disagree with the needs of vehicles and making sure that you have vehicles that are running properly, especially something with all-wheel drive, four-wheel drive. We live in New England.
Yes.
All right, we gotta be able to prepare for the elements. And we all know that four-letter word is coming up here in our future. We've been getting 90, 100-degree days here, but soon enough, we'll be hitting the 30s and 20s again.
Oh, thank God.
I know, I love winter. Summer's nice for a little bit, but I like it. Yes, sir?
And I think it's a good practice that rotate it sooner,
Yeah.
instead of waiting until you can't drive it anymore because you don't get any trading
Yes.
sale price. So
Right.
I think it's fantastic that if the funds come quicker, I'm all for it.
Yep. All right. Do you have any questions about that stuff?
What is the upfit cost? What does that mean?
The upfit's all the equipment we get inside it. So the car itself is actually about 33,000.
Yeah, well, 36.
That's the hybrid.
33,702
Right.
for the gas,
Oh, yeah, yeah.
all-wheel drive.
So to put all the stuff that with the lights and everything is about $15,000.
Okay.
And the radios and.
You gotta remember, there's all kinds of wiring harnesses and,
Yeah.
everything needs to be done in there. They're
$33,000.
both police interceptor vehicles, Ford Explorer interceptors.
The cage.
Yeah, so what's the difference between, so the gas one's like almost 13 and the other one's about,
That one, the gas one has a cage in it.
oh, okay,
This is the difference between the hybrid and, that's why they're both almost exactly the same.
okay.
One's an administrative unit and one's an actual cruiser.
Okay. Cool.
All right.
And then when do you think you're gonna have all the quotes for the key fobs?
So the gentleman finally got back to me today, and he's going to have some more stuff for me concrete tomorrow. But the based on those quotes, he said anticipate a 10 to 15% increase from what that price was in 2021. Now, there's a discussion that needs to be had in terms of, how extensive you want to go with that. You want to just have it for this building? I know that there was a discussion at one of the meetings to have it for multiple buildings in town. One thing that I did bring up to the chief at a meeting today that we had, if our goal is to eventually move towards a public safety complex or a municipal complex in the future, and we're going to be disposing of buildings, right, in the future, condensing our footprint, if you will, then you may want to consider maybe just doing this building instead of those other buildings having those expenses at this time. Because this one gets the most traffic. It has a real justification to have at times when there's multiple meetings happening at night, and people may forget to lock the door behind them, and there's multiple boards that meet in here, and people tend to come in off hours to meet here. So I think, this building does make a lot of sense to do.
Well, this is definitely a must to have done here.
Yeah.
And I know we're talking about doing it at the fire station too. The school has their own thing, so we're not dealing with that. Highway department, you can't do it. Police department, obvious reasons, because we're in transition of buildings soon, hopefully. So we're working all those issues out. So the main one would be here to get done.
And I think
But-
we can crunch the numbers a little bit more on this
What-
one, if we're just here.
One of the things, and I was reading the article you had on your table upstairs for Douglas. Douglas has the key fob systems, but they actually went with ID badge key cards. So it actually has the employee's, name and, who they are, like, say, James Ferrara, town administrator on it. And that's what he would use as ID for the building and also being able to, get into the building. One of the things I know that were issues, and I don't know if you guys talked about it in some of your FEMA classes and stuff, is being able to ID town employees, because when town employees are coming in, anybody could say, well, I work for the town, but if you got troopers that are sitting out there and cordoning off an area, and we need to get town employees into a building, what do we have saying that anybody's a town employee? We don't have anything. So if we have an ID system saying, hey, I'm a town employee, but it's also working as a key fob, I think that's a good option to have.
But
So
then would
it's-
we need the pin-in cards? Would we need the things that you're putting in if we're having ID badges?
You need what?
Where we have to sign
punch-in?
in, the punch-in
Mhm.
parts? Would we need that if you have an ID badge? You have the ID badge, that's going to say you entered the building and when you left the building.
Yes, but I think the tablets are doing something different than the actual badges. So.
So you wouldn't necessarily need the badge if the building's unlocked, right?
Right.
So the building would be
Yeah.
unlocked from like 8 to 4:30, if that's the building hours. So it would be unlocked, and, you would have the ability to use it if, after hours, or, if the building locks at a certain time, or whatever the case may be.
Now, you could probably do it, because I know you could actually put the barcodes, or what's that, the other reader
QR
thing?
code?
QR codes on them. So if you put a QR code on the ID badge, couldn't you just use that with the tablet and scan them, instead of putting in
Yeah.
a pin and stuff?
Like you just hold your
Just
badge to
do
the
a QR code in
tablet.
front of it, and boom, that's your employee code?
I could look into that, but what I know actually what they do right now is they, face recognition, but that's too much work.
Yeah.
I'll look into the idea of the QR code, so they sign in, but, otherwise they just have to put their number.
Yeah. Okay.
So Karen, the ID badge wouldn't log you out of anything. I mean, potentially it could get you as you come in if you use it, if the door's locked.
But if the door's unlocked, you don't have to use
It's
it.
unlocked,
Right.
and you would
And
never
then you're
get
not
it
using
going
it.
out, because
Right.
you would never need it to go out,
Right.
so.
And I'm thinking, because if we're gonna do it, we could do it with the dual purpose too, and actually give town employees IDs, because nobody has anything. Yeah.
That's a great idea, honestly. We've never had an IT maker or anything in town, and, we made them ourselves, kind of what we could do, but never had that ability in town for any of the departments to ever just come up and say, hey, listen, I got a new employee, I need an ID badge for them somehow. Never had that. That's actually a great idea.
And that would be good, because you have actually a hard card that gives them the access, it does everything they need as an employee. So if we can look into that.
All right.
You good with that?
Yeah, yep.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Any questions?
No.
Any questions about this one? Jim?
No, sir.
Joe?
Joe Conrad, resident. When I worked at Polymer Injection, we had a key card system with our name on it, and we had to use it to get into the building. The door would automatically lock after we came in.
Yep.
And then to get onto the main floor, we had to punch in a number, and it was a Palm ID.
Yeah. Yeah, and I know, right now, we don't need layered security at this point, but at some point, it could be something where maybe, the town clerk's office because they store stuff in there. Maybe she might want to have more accountability and have a layered security where nobody can get in past a certain point for her. You know, but that's an option and things you could add on later on too, as you do this. And it's all about protecting the employees and, you know, making sure that everything's accounted for and protecting people's information. You know, these days, we really gotta be very, very careful about protecting people's personal information and making sure it doesn't get out there. So that's why we're trying to do this, get with the times and do the best we can to do that and protect it. So yeah, if you can look,
Okay.
see what it
Yep.
would be for the cards too, you know. a
I think
means-
we would have
means
enough
to
money
make
within
cards.
here to do that.
Yeah, a means to be able to make cards, and then that would be able to, I don't know what the fire department does, I know police, you get a state ID. So, what do you guys get for fire?
We've been just making our own, to be honest. with what we
So
have.
this would give you guys,
Yeah, take a picture, we've been able to, but the machines are not cheap. They're not super expensive, but
No.
it's not something that I can buy out of my normal budget. It's a couple $1,000s for those
Yeah.
machines. So, I think that would be useful for so many different departments.
and if we have a central location that we're doing it,
Yeah.
it's more secure. There's,
Perfect, someone's going through the HR process, they're going through queries and this and that, and just have someone make them ID once they're cleared, and here would be a perfect place for it, so.
Okay.
good, great, cool. All right. Do we have anything else for ARPA? Any other items?
I'm working on a couple of them to bring up to Jim. One of them was the defibrillator project. We were going to try to look at defibrillators for the building and replace the fire departments at the same time so that we could kind of get them all in the same pattern. They'd be compatible with the ones that we have, so we don't have to switch pads. God forbid we ever get called up here for something. So we're working on that. We're working on a piece of equipment for the new ambulance that's coming in that we didn't have, that we don't have, that's kind of become a state-of-the-art. It's called a Lucas machine. It's an automatic CPR machine. The machine does CPR, so you can do other things. It's pretty much become almost a standard on trucks now, but it's about $15,000 to $17,000 for that piece of equipment. So that was one thing we couldn't afford with the money, with getting all new stretchers, and but it was just something outside the box. And we were actually talked to Jim several times. We were looking to board a utility pickup truck for the fire department as well, so that we have the ability to, we don't have a vehicle to do inspections. A lot of times, people are using their own vehicles, we're throwing trash, really where we, not that, it'd be so many different useful things for that. We don't have a vehicle we can put hose in, we don't have any of that stuff. I'd be able to do some light plowing and stuff. We got it with a plow package to assist with the town and get the stations cleared out. So this is something we've never done. My old cruiser, it's on its last legs, as you know, that will be, I don't think it'll pass inspection again, so that vehicle will be leaving. And we've been using that constantly to do all of the inspections, to do all of the daily work and all that stuff. And once that's gone, we're back down to nothing again. So I think it'd be a great time to look at finally getting a utility vehicle for the department that can not only do the daily day work, but it'll also tow the trailers, it'll do all of that stuff as well. So I'm putting those few things together for Jim.
Okay, very good.
Thank you.
And you're looking for boxes to put the AEDs in also,
Yep, so that's
inside the buildings?
It'll be part of it. It'll come in a secured box. It'll have the defibrillator in there. Everything. We'll probably end up putting the stop the bleeds next to that as well. So everything's in a centralized location. But it'd be a great time to, the nice thing is, working with the PDs too. They just got a couple off the grant, but ideally, you really want, to start moving in the direction of all of them being the same, so that we can buy all the same equipment in bulk. And especially for us, we're not changing pads out. We're not. Because that's what we have to do sometimes. We don't, if it's the same machine that we are using on the fire department, we can just jump right in and just use it without no worries whatsoever. So
And the pads expire, so it'd be
Correct.
easier to be able to just buy
that's something
the same.
We'll look at that. We'll kind of keep track of that. We'll kind of be the stewards of the system and make sure that we can replace that equipment and everything stays where it needs to stay. So those are the three that we're working on to get up to Jim in the very near future.
So when you're looking at the boxes, see if you can find out how much it would be to get the boxes, because there's a box, when you open up the door to take out the AED, it automatically notifies 911.
Yes, there's those. There are also some that are alarmed, you know, that if someone's tampering with it, it'll set off an alarm as soon as you open it. So there's a few of those. They are more expensive, obviously, because they have to connect, and there's some, yeah, they have them, they exist. There's just, yeah. I'll
Price
take a
mark,
look and
see what it would
the
be.
options are. But the average box, the AED that we would need and stuff, it's probably about 3,000 a piece for that system, and we would need at least 2 here. Ideally, 1 upstairs, 1 downstairs, and then
Yeah.
we would need about 4 for the fire department to, you know, between the 2 primary trucks, the ambulance and the command vehicle, so.
Okay.
I'll get that to you ASAP.
3 for this building.
3? Okay.
Yeah, because you gotta think about the downstairs too, the
Okay.
gym.
Yeah.
Because it'd be really hard for somebody to run all the way upstairs to the first floor to grab it for the gym, because if there's a meeting or something going on down there,
Yep.
at least we have it right there in the room.
Okay, we also are working on our to-go bags. We purchase most of the stuff right now, so if there's anything additional that we have to come to the board about for the active shooter situations or active threat situations, we have most of the stuff. We have bags we have that are coming in. We have, you know, the warm blankets or the, not the, can't think what they're called, the silver blankets. Space blankets.
Space blankets,
So
yeah.
the space blankets, you know, tourniquets, chest seals, all that stuff, we're working on putting that together. Had a pretty good class over in Ware, beginning of this week. That was really good. So we should have those up and going sooner than later. But if there's anything additional we need on our end, I'll approach Jim about it too, so.
Very good. Did you have anything else, Chief?
No, like Jim said, I have I actually have a stack of the stuff that you had me look for too. So I'll just get it all over to him.
Very good. All right. If we have nothing else for ARPA stuff, we can move on to warrants and bills.
Okay, here we go. I'll make a motion to pay the following warrants. Number 11, payroll, $53,723.23. Number 12, vendor, $96,060.28. Number 13, payroll, $54,759.93. Number 14, vendor, $137,582.04.
Get a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Richi Hacker, aye.
Derek Bellis, aye.
David Dufresne, aye. The motion passes unanimously.
Make a motion to pay the following bills. Wow. 7 for WB Mason, 2 for $15.99, 1 for $34.07, $58.46, $152.99, $183.96, and $413.27. Northeast IT, $2,263. Modern Pest for $92. C2MA Adams, 1 for $1,008.74, and then $1,369.40. Kelco, $485.64. 2 for Verizon, $135.64, and then a credit of 52 cents. 3 for National Grid, a credit of $710.71, a credit of $21,853.36, and $97.13, and then Serve You, $799.42.
Get a motion?
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Richi Hacker, aye.
Derek Bellis, aye.
David Dufresne, aye. The motion passes unanimously. Okay. Motion to approve the minutes
So moved.
for our July 28th, 2022. So moved? Get a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Richi Hacker, aye.
Derek Bellis, aye.
David Dufresne, aye. The motion passes. So new business. So we got a battery backup in server room. Were you handling that, or Rich?
Nope. Oh.
Karen?
Did it fail or something?
One time we went in there and the server was playing music and beeping all at the same time. It was very weird. So I called Northeast IT. They said that somewhere it was picking up. It was very soothing music too. I thought, oh good, we've got a nice relaxing room in here now. They got the music shut off. They're not sure where it was coming from, but they got that shut off. But then they sent a tech out yesterday for the beeping, and they said one of our battery backups was failing. It was not taking a charge. So that is the 600, whatever it is, 669.99. And so I just need your approval to go ahead and do that. And then while he was in there, he brought up to the point that the server room is very hot. It's destroying our servers. We're going to have to buy them faster than what we would if we needed to move them. I did mention going upstairs. And so after talking to Jim, we decided to go ahead and have them give us a quote to move it all upstairs. So that is in the works now.
Could possibly be, sure.
Okay.
Yep.
And the room's right above where the thing is right above where they are. So instead of bringing all the wires down into the server room, we just go up
Yeah.
to the new room.
Yeah.
So they won't have to rewire all of the building.
Yeah, I mean, we've talked about that for a while now, so that's
Yeah.
a good, I think that's a good thing.
Yep.
Do you need a motion on this, or?
Just for you guys to say, yeah, okay. I don't think it needs to be a motion.
Okay.
I'll say, yeah, okay.
Okay.
No, we should do a motion.
All right.
Make it official, because we're spending money.
Okay, I'll make a motion to purchase a UPS battery backup for the server for $669.99.
Second.
All in favor?
Richi Hacker, aye.
Derek Bellis, aye.
David Dufresne, aye. The motion passes unanimously. Okay. All right, so fire department abatements for third quarter. All right. Okay. So we're looking at, for January, $47,632.81. February, $47,468.18. And March, could not process?
So unfortunately, the Comstar, our billing company, had some pretty bad malware come into their system, and it really screwed up. Fortunately, nothing was compromised. However, it completely messed with their ability to be able to process stuff for about a month. So they were unable to process that, and they had to play catch up the next couple of months. So they had to hire an outside consultant to come in and get everything back online. There was, they looked through everything, assured us that there was no breaches or anything like that, but unfortunately, it damaged their system to the point they could not download anything. So they're back online now, but they were off for about a month and a half, unfortunately. So that's why there are no numbers there. They ended up having to catch up in the months following that.
Okay. And then we got for fourth quarter for FY '22, April, $82,177.81. May, $38,665.05. And June, $64,830.21.
That's why that April number is larger, because they were accounting for 2 months. Yeah.
That was my next question.
Yes, that's a little bit larger because they had to play catch up.
They combined them.
following. Yeah, that's about an average month for us. Those are all those write-offs and bad debts that we can't collect because of Medicare or Medicaid or something like that.
Okay. Did you need a motion for us to approve these?
Yeah, usually the board does a motion.
Okay. Because you have put down a new business.
Sorry.
All right. So I'll make a motion to approve the fire department abatements for third quarter and fourth quarter.
Second.
All in favor?
Derek Bellis, aye.
Richi Hacker, aye.
David Dufresne, aye. The motion passes unanimously. You're good, chief.
Thank you.
Okay. Old business. Do we have anything? Old business, Rich?
No.
Garrett?
No, sir.
Okay. Cool. You give me a look like I do. Do I? All right.
Yeah.
I mean, you don't know? All right. So town administrator report. You're up, Jim.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, members of the board and general audience, department heads, Karen. I just have a brief report tonight on a couple matters. Last week, I met with Joanne from Maya. She's our general rep for our general liability coverages in the building. Went over, it's a renewal time. Went over to all the line items that are covered under our general liability coverages. Karen sent out to departments, kind of gauging to get an idea as to, do they still have this equipment? Is this equipment still on the road? Are these VIN numbers matching up? We got all that information back around the beginning of August. I met with Joanne last week. We went over, we kind of went through the policy. We identified areas that we probably don't need coverage anymore based on the age and the depreciation of these things. So we were actually able to save a few dollars for the town by taking some of these coverages off and becoming self-insured. We were able to look at areas in where we feel as though that there should be an additional insurance coverages based on the values of today's market and some of the contents in some of these buildings, and really dive into some of the things. For example, the senior center, we thought the contents within there were undervalued, and so we were able to raise that at a pretty easy cost to the town. So some of the credits that we did with taking some of the old stuff that is depreciated and become self-insured, we moved that to credits to have the ability to have more insurance available to the town. So some areas in which we are going to work on to increase insurances, obviously the radio infrastructure project, it's got to be insured. We got to have some insurance on that. So I've already spoke to the chief on that. I have some funds a little bit left in paying out the premiums. We paid out the premiums for August 1st, so we save our 3% discount. If you pay it by August 1st, the town will save 3% on $100,000. So you will save that money. So we got the premiums paid. All of those have been paid. So there's a little bit of money left in the line item that we could use for insurances for the radio infrastructure project, as well as the SCAB tanks. We
First allotment at the last May meeting, we got our first installment for that project. We're hoping to do a second installment. It's going to be more because of the prices increases dramatically. But yeah, the big one's the radio there. We want to make sure we have decent coverage on that. And those prices are kind of unprecedented right now because the equipment is worth a lot more as they're going to be dropping it off than it was when we bought it. And that normally doesn't happen. So it usually goes the other way. So, so we've got to account for that because the market is just crazy right now for that kind of stuff.
So those tanks need to be insured. So those were a recommendation by Maya because they're very expensive. So we're going to do those with the new tanks that are coming out. So that was my discussion with our Maya rep this past week. We also was in discussion today with our Maya rep for our RMV processing is to change over the police plates to municipal plates for the animal control officer for taking the police cruiser that we're decommissioning to the animal control officer. We're going to change those plates to municipal plates. I've got the RMV. I'm going to work with the chief on I'm going to work with Karen on the title issue, and also work with the chief to get the old plates turned in and get municipal plates on there as well. So the chief today was able to get all the decals have been taken off. The car has been cleaned out, and we want to make sure it's cleaned, all nice and cleaned when we turn it over. So everything is done and ready to go for the animal control officer. So we're going to have the yellow lights stay on the vehicle just because, for safety reasons. If she has to pull over or something on the side of the road or do something, the yellow light should be on. And the chief has made sure of that to make that accessible. So this is a really a unique opportunity for the town to do this. We're going to transfer it over and have its own entity right there for the animal control. With that, I wanted to move in to talk to about some grants that have come about. Starting on August 15th, the Commonwealth of Massachusetts is offering the Community Compact grant program. It's starting again. That is a grant for best practices, IT, efficiency, or regionalization in fiber optics. The town applied for this grant in 2017, according to some records that I was able to dig up. And because of that, some of it was used, some of it wasn't used. I see that there was a project started or maybe wasn't completed back in 2017. But the state wanted to do a call with myself and the chairman in the next coming up days. But I wanted to apply for this relatively soon because the town has the potential to get 2 bites at the apple. We can apply for 2 initiatives. One initiative under best practices that I was thinking of that could be helpful to the town is some budget software. And just experiencing from the budget process from when I originally started a few months ago, I know that numbers were flying all over the place. Instead of doing some type of Excel spreadsheet, there's an actual budget software that would help us drastically track the budget, would give us, percentages, would have the ability for me to develop charts and graphs for presentation purposes for the town, and I think that would be a real helpful tool. A subscription to that would cover a portion of this, would cover the grant for one of the grants, and then there's another grant that's available for either some type of infrastructure or IT things in that nature. Another area in which I feel as though that a best practices grant could be used would be to find out and to conduct a feasibility study. I know one of the goals of the town is to maybe develop a municipal complex or a public safety complex, but we need to do a feasibility study to find out what the town can afford and what bonding capacity the town has. And that feasibility study would have to be spent and done, and this grant could cover that for the town, which would be huge. So I'm hoping that maybe the possibility of the feasibility study, that this grant has the potential of going upwards of a couple $100,000. If I can make the case to get some type of engineering or architectural design in the feasibility study to try to clip it all together, it may be a stretch, but it may be worth the ask if we can get it through a grant. So I'll be talking with the chairman offline to set up a time to do this call with the state, because I want to get on this relatively soon, because the money is a first come first served basis, and it starts next week. And that was the meat of the report, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, thank you very much. I had a question. We were talking about this. How far are we with the radios?
We're still on target for the end of November, hopefully with that. We're in the final stages of finalizing the lease agreements and getting all those back. We're talking with Jim and Tammy with regard to, whether or not there's any procurement process for that small part of it. Everything else was purchased off the state bid for that, but we're just working through that. But each one of these is its own private entity. So it's like getting stuff from, it's like you're renting an apartment from the landlord at each one of these things, because we only take part in one small part of the tower. So we're working on agreements for this to come forward. As soon as we get those couple of procurement things answered, and as soon as we get those finalized leases, we'll bring them to the board for approval and signing. And then we'll go through the final processes to get that there and to get permission to actually go on the towers. So it's coming. It's been a little slower than I want, but each one of these, again, each one of them gets back to you in their own time. We have one tower that may have an active osprey nest, which we are trying to contend with. So again, all these little things come up. So we're trying like heck to get it there. We're
It's meeting
almost
season.
there. It's just, this little part of it has been a learning curve all of itself. I figured that the equipment part would be the big part. It's negotiation between
I think
the
most of the equipment's
towers.
in, right?
Yeah, most of the equipment is already in. We've already purchased it. It's sitting there. We're still waiting for some. So it's not like we're behind time. We're just waiting for these other towers to, some of them have different, certain ones want a structural analysis, certain ones don't require that. So it all depends on the tower and the vendor and what they want for each particular site. So we're kind of jumping through those hoops right now. But we're making steady progress, so we should get there soon, I think.
Okay. It's almost probably be worth it just for us to put up our own towers.
Well, we've joked about many things here, because, unfortunately, when the original bylaws were written there's nothing that says that they have to give us free, we're like any other vendor, like we have to approach them, and the town does, so that's maybe something we can look at in the future. But the 3 towers we're working with all 3 appropriate towers in the community, where they have to be, they've all been through an engineering study that was paid for by a grant. They've all been identified as the only towers that will work for the system. So, so we're working with all of them, but, again, each one of them is inherently different in what they require. And that maybe the town can look at that, but you're talking big money. I mean, these are not cheap to erect. You're talking probably $1 million to do a couple towers, throughout there. I mean, it's great when you own them and you can do whatever you want, but, we're dealing with, some of these towers, they have shelters. You have to have shelters for your equipment and everything. So, I'm trying like heck to work it now, because we truly just want to lease. I don't want a couple of towers wanted to turn over a building to us. We'll give it to you for $1. It's now yours. And but then we inherit all of the maintenance for it. We inherit this and that, and it gets it off their hands, but that's not really what we wanted to do. We wanted to be able to say, hey, listen, this broke yesterday, we need a new one, and that's the way it is, like you call a landlord, So, because I just don't really think the town wants to get into that, replacing a roof and replacing the siding and doing this and doing that. So those are the little things that are happening behind the scenes we're trying to get straightened out.
I don't know if that's something we could look at. A lot
Yeah,
of
the
towns-
facilities maintenance guy would be able to do that.
Yeah, yes, but again, it's another building and it's another, so it's truly what we'd like to do is 3 solid leases where everything is spelled out, that, if the HVAC system goes, we call up and you get us a new mini split, or you do this, and that's where we're getting close. One of them just came through today, like I said, that one should be, we're good. We just need to, again, talk with Jim and Tammy just to make sure we're doing everything correctly, just to cover our rear ends there, but we're making steady progress, so.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know if there's gonna be any more building of towers, but some towns put in the bylaw that they have to have space for public safety. We don't have that.
That was one thing that was never put in the original planning board thing, and it was never thought about, I'm sure, back then, it is what it is. So, so we're while each one of them said they'll give us a discount because it's public safety, they're not gonna give it to us for free. They're all pretty much falling in the same ballpark as to what they're gonna charge monthly for it, so.
Okay.
Question, do you know of a town that has that language about the free placement?
I'm sure I can find it. There's plenty of them out there that do.
Because, we
Could address that
planning board,
case.
yeah, could,
Yeah, I read
Deal
through
with that.
the bylaw myself in the microscope. Unfortunately, there just isn't any teeth in there for us to allow to come in retroactively and say, hey, listen, this
Yeah,
is,
not
it's
retro.
just not in there. So,
Yeah.
we really don't have any solid ground to stand on. But I can certainly do some research. I know a couple of them off the top of my head. I know that other towns that have mentioned they have something in there, so I'll look into that for you.
okay.
It's probably within the permit,
Yeah,
probably writing it into the permit.
yeah.
I'm sure that bylaw was written many years ago. I mean, when the very first tower came in, that was probably 20-something years ago, and I'm sure that's just, we never thought about being in this position. We've had, our systems have been so antiquated for so long, and now we're finally catching up with that, and, you know, it is what it is. We're just gonna power through, and if we can fix it, we'll fix it.
Yep.
Okay, so you good, town administrator report?
So one thing I would add, Mr.
Sure.
Chairman, on that is that, we do have our second round of first aid CPR training, is going to be on August 26th on a Friday. So we're going to have people in the office on August 26th. I know we had some people express some interest. I contacted them. We're going to have a good group. We're going to have about almost 9 people for employees, and that they really wanted to participate. I know Karen wants to do it, and we're going to have maybe some donuts and coffee too
Very good.
for people coming in.
It's great to have. Everybody should be at least CPR certified and trained, so you just never know when you need it, And it's great to have for the training.
I'd like to thank Paul Sojan for stepping up and doing this. I mean, he's got a full-time job over in Southbridge, but he's committed to the town, and thank him for stepping up and doing this.
Definitely thank him for us. And thank you for everybody for stepping up and volunteering and learning it, because it's great to have in the building, and it could potentially make Adam and his guy's job a little easier and potentially save a life.
First 2 minutes are the most important. And that's, someone can start CPR and get that first shock in, someone in the, God forbid, someone dropped in a building, that's gonna make them much more viable for us to get there and save a life 100%. So it's all good stuff.
Very good. Anything else? All right. So, comments and concerns. Do you have any comments, concerns?
I have a comment.
Crickets?
It wasn't me. So I asked Brianna how the hazardous waste day went.
Yep.
And so I got a response. So I guess, the Board of Health should be congratulated. They had 66 houses that participated. Oh, that's what that is. It's scary. Oh. So there were a couple people who tried to sign up last minute, but there was a cutoff period, and the company needs time to schedule it out. So next time we do this, you just got to be mindful of the deadline to sign up. Let's see. So a bunch of people had reached out and told them that they were really happy with it. It was for the
Carrie,
6th.
can you mute your mic? If that's you.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Thank you.
So it was about $8,000 for 66 houses. And they collected roughly 1,000 gallons / pounds of hazardous waste from Warren. So I think it was a great program.
Yeah.
And, maybe if we keep it up, or the Board of Health keeps it up, maybe we'll get more people next time.
Yeah.
So-
And a lot of hazardous waste out of it, from being dumped somewhere or potentially just left there.
Yeah.
Um,
And it was the kind of
Yeah.
thing where they picked it up at your house.
yeah.
The last one I remember, which was, I don't know, 15, 20 years ago, you had to go to the dump and bring your cans or whatever. And this is way better. They just drive by the house, pick it up, and that's it.
Very good.
So,
Good job, Board of Health.
yeah, absolutely.
Brianna did a great job on the hazardous waste.
Thank you.
Anything else?
That's it.
Derek?
For comments and concerns?
Yes.
Or for that? Well, I just had Bill Shar contact me about this thing, this letter.
Yep. About the roosters.
Yeah, I just said I was gonna mention it here.
Well, the Board of Health is handling it, and that looks like he was addressing it to the Board of Health. So,
You also sent it to the select board. That's why we have it.
okay. But yeah, through the thing, he kept on addressing the Board of Health. He didn't ask us for anything and didn't directly comment to us about anything about the roosters, so. And it looks like the Board of Health's handling it.
It's not really our jurisdiction, is that?
No, we don't have any bylaws saying that you can't have a rooster.
Oh, but I mean, in terms of dealing with it, it's a Board of Health issue, right?
It's a Board of Health issue.
Yeah, it's not
Because
really select.
he's trying to say that it's causing a nuisance to their health and causing them health problems, so. It's a Board of Health issue,
Yeah.
you know, and technically animals are handled through the Board of Health. As far as like farm animals and all that, it's through the animal inspector and through the Board of Health.
Yeah.
Because we don't have any bylaws on it saying that they can't have the roosters, and, you know, the way I see it, you live in the country. People have farm animals, they have animals. It is what it is. You know, we're not telling birds to shut up. You know, I know roosters can be a little annoying here and there, but people move to the country so they can have these things. So it's a Board of Health issue. You good on that? Okay. Did you have anything else?
No, sir.
All right. So, comment. You attended some training along with some of your guys. Did you attend it too?
Yep. We had, I think you probably had, what, six and six?
The active shooter training.
Yep.
Yeah, I think we had a good majority of police. I think there was 5 or 6 of us that partnered up with the Ware Police Department and the Ware Fire, and you know, we ran approximately 6, 7 different scenario drills through probably about five hours worth of training, starting on Tuesday morning at the Ware High School. Different scenarios that you know, police and fire working together on these particular active threat situations and stuff. So it was good. You know, I had a couple people on the fire department that had never been through something like that, so it was their first time going through it and learning some of the terms, and rescue task force and working together with police and everything, and how that plays out, and you know, getting some hands-on. So we're going to continue to try to get the staff up, you know, up to speed, and you know, as many of them trained in that capacity as possible. But it was a good training. You know, it was eye-opening for especially people that hadn't done it before. So,
Now, did Weir invite us, or?
yes.
Yeah,
Yep, we're-
I had reached out, Jim and I reached out to them.
Okay.
We have an SRO over there that is also an instructor, a SWAT guy too.
You guys use simunitions too, huh?
Yeah.
You hit?
I didn't.
We watched a couple of them.
A couple of my guys did though.
You get hit with that simunitions, and
Yeah, they have a few.
it lets you know. It wakes you up.
We actually asked, it was neat, because I've done a few of these now, but they've never allowed fire to go in and watch a scenario. So I was curious to see if we'd be allowed to do that, and they did. They made it safe for us to stay back, but instead of going in afterwards, I thought it was nice for the group to see the police doing their thing before we get in there, and see the formations and see how they talk and see how they do it, just to get a different perspective of what's going on. I think it just makes you wrap your head around things a little bit better. So that was nice too, to kind of be able to observe that part of it, because we normally get your medical, just go in and do that after that, but it's nice to kind of get an idea of what they're going through and what they're doing too. So it was nice. It was good all the way around.
It's important to understand the psychology and everything they're going through as far as being pumped up. And I'm sure none of those guys felt those hits when they get hit, because they were so pumped up. But afterwards, when the welt started forming, huh? So, oh, it's awesome. Thank you very much to Ware for inviting us and helping us out with training. Was that?
We want to do it over in Quabog next, so they can get the lay of the land over here.
Very good.
Yep.
Yeah, definitely. It's definitely great training to do, and the simulations. It's invaluable to have that, because the training that you get, it makes it much more realistic, instead of it just being like, I'm just running through and this is a game and I'm going through scenarios. You get hit, you realize that in real life, that's a bullet. And if you're not doing what you're supposed to do, you know, it lets you realize that you need to be paying attention and actually apply the skills you're learning. Pay attention to the training. So definitely. And you're working on getting some simunitions for?
Yeah, I think I sent you the quote for that, around what they cost. Because Ware has a bunch of them, but it'd be nice to have our own too.
Yeah. So you can do your own training, get Lieutenant Early out there and help the guys out too. So, good stuff. So, you guys have anything else?
Yes, one thing with that whole.
Yes.
Is when we do plan our meeting, I'd like to see if their school resource officer would come over. They did have a good setup where one of our issues is the opening doors. Where all the Ware schools have it, if there's an open door, a light in the office as well as the SRO's office blinks red.
Okay.
So they know there's an open door. Just little things like that.
They also have an emergency button, right?
Oh, they have an emergency
button. They can hit the
their
office.
three schools
where
are right,
it'll lock
basically
the
stacked.
entire compound doors.
So if this elementary school at the top has a lockdown situation, the office has a button they press and it locks down all the schools. And right there. So that's
Like the classrooms, locks the classrooms and stuff. So somebody
Classrooms, I talked to the SRO about that, and their classrooms are locked all the time.
Okay.
So what happens is, I won't describe that anyways, but we can do
Yeah.
that in a closed meeting. But their classrooms are locked all the time.
Okay. Hey, cool. Yeah, let's just keep on top of it because I'm not gonna keep on. I'm gonna keep on beating this to the death because, again, it's to protect the students and the teachers, and I don't want this just to fall to the side because it's not in the media or the news anymore. It's things we need to take very serious and make sure that our schools are as hard of a target for anybody to get into and virtually impossible for somebody to do the unthinkable in our schools. The last thing I want you to do is ever have to go in and do what you're trained to do. All right. Anything else? Jeff?
In case nobody's noticed, with the last 2 weeks of extreme hot weather, the river has gone down. In shallows, you can walk across the river without getting your feet wet, but there still are some deep pools. And people should be aware, if you fall in one of those deep pools, fire department might have to rescue you to get you out. Deep pools have a current.
Yeah, even though the water levels are low, don't be going in and playing in the water. Stay out of the unsafe areas. You know, again, rivers can still be dangerous. So use some common sense, please. Anything else, Joe? Thank you, sir. All right, and I think
We have one, a hand up in Zoom land, Carrie Schmidt.
Oh, Carrie, you have something?
Hi, sorry I opened my microphone ahead of time, I just thought you guys let me in.
No, it's okay.
But two things, I just want to commend Jim for jumping on the community compact grants right away. Actually, I was a tax collector at Treasurer School yesterday, and they said they doubled the amount of money that they're offering with that. So I know we have some software needs. The other thing is the question. Did you say we said $21,000 credit from Verizon?
Yes,
I think that's
$21,853
National Grid.
and 36 cents. National Grid.
On National Grid?
Yep.
How do you get that? Where do I sign up? What is that result from? Do we have some kind of, is that a?
That's probably resulting from the solar, correct? Because the solar field we have at the dump site, we actually get money from that
Don't forget the schools.
in school.
We usually have a big credit like that maybe every other month or so. It's not every
No,
time.
it is. What happens is we have to
Or maybe
pay
this
our
is-
solar bill for lights, like the 1,369.40 is the solar bill that we're paying. That solar bill goes towards our national grid bill. They deduct what our national grid bill is from that amount of money. Like this time they deducted $500 and something. So then the rest of it goes into a credit. So this credit of 21,000 is over a long period of time, like $500 a month.
Oh, so
Yeah, $500 a month is not bad.
so it's accumulating this
All right, that's
amount?
all.
It is accumulating. Jim is looking into what when we had National Grid here for something, they mentioned that we can spend this money on different things, and I couldn't remember what it was, so Jim is looking into that to find out what it is that we can spend it on.
Okay. Cool.
All right, great. All right, thanks, Beth. Have a great weekend, everybody. Thank
Right.
you. Nice job.
You too. Have a good weekend. All right. So, any other comments and concerns? Nobody? Nobody else in Zoom?
Nope.
All right. So we're up to correspondence, the police department monthly report.
It's me.
Fire.
Or either one. You're both up, so if you could just stand up in front of the mic so they can hear you. Open mic night.
Don't want to hear me sing. So my monthly report for July. In July, we logged 1,583 calls. 3 felonies were investigated, 69 incident reports, 6 on-view arrests, 1 warrant arrest, 16 summons arrests, for a total of 23, 1 protective custody. We had 132 motor vehicle stops with 54 citations. During the month, at the beginning, we actually had our first department head meeting with the town administrator. I think it went very well. On 8th, I think everyone in this room almost went to the Touch a Truck at Dean Park. It was a great event that the park put on. They had live music, events for the kids to do, food, and they got to touch some trucks. I know Adam has, some ones in there. On the 20th, the town administrator attended a meeting for our RECC, Rutland Regional Communication Center, with us, with the director, Mike Moriarty. Mike just went over a few plans that he has for the future. One that's going to be good for us is they got a grant for the call boxes. So what that is going to be, if you walk in our station, instead of picking up the phone and having to hit the button for dispatch, there's going to be a call box right there. You walk in, you just hit the call box, and they actually can see you on video. So that's a...
Fire will have that too.
They'll be on that station. And then, actually, back to the schools, on the 22nd, I met with Acting Superintendent Steve Duff. Him and I talked about, I've been big on trying to get a school resource officer, and he's actually on board with that. So they're looking into different grants to see if they can apply to get funding for a school resource officer. And then, obviously, at the end of the month, K9 Murray retired, Officer moved out in Florida, we lost him. But we added 2 new officers, Officer Brad Merkel, he came from Florida to us, and then Paul Sugin, who's been very helpful on the medical side of everything that we've been doing lately. He's going from part-time to full-time, and he'll go to the academy in October. That's it for me.
Very good. Thank you.
Your buddy.
In terms of the fire department, we had 29 fire-related calls in July, ranging from activated alarms, motor vehicle accidents, medical assists. We're seeing a lot more. Illegal burns, power line incidents, electrical equipment issues, mutual aid, canceled. Once in a while we get canceled before we even get out of the barn or shortly after. Different investigations, oil burning equipment issues, and brush fires. The ambulance responded to 52 calls in July of 2022. There was 10 ALS intercepts that were required. We had a few smoke and carbon monoxide inspections and 1 oil burning equipment. In terms of activities and meetings, Warren fire personnel, we trained on the truck that we're currently using from Millbury, truck equipment, placement and everything, pumping evolutions and driving, just to get everybody familiar with it. And, you know, it's very similar to our other one, but just to make sure the drivers had some time on there to be able to make any adjustments they need to. In terms of Warrant EMS, we held a safe stretcher operation class, which is becoming a class that's pushed very heavily by the Office of Emergency Medical Services. One of the biggest issues they see across the board is stretcher drops for patients. I mean, these things happen, unfortunately, but you know, we try very hard to keep our people trained on that. We have a brand new ambulance coming soon with a brand new stretcher system in it. This is a whole new system for us. This will hopefully, we talked a little bit about it before, but this is a fully battery-operated system as well as a power load system into the stretcher. This is now state-of-the-art equipment that most ambulances will come with now. It runs on lithium or ion batteries, and it literally will, not only is the power, is the stretcher power, it will lower and raise upwards of 600 plus pounds over and over again, and it will also load the stretcher and the patient directly into the ambulance. So this is fantastic for us because honestly, most of the injuries that happen to staff on fire departments are back injuries or lifting and moving injuries. So we're hoping to avoid some of those. I mean, we've been very lucky thus far, but this will definitely help us make sure that our people are safe. They're not incurring all that injury from lifting patients up and down over and over and over again. So it has those systems on there. We've been training in the background on those systems. We had the company come in, Stryker that sells that product, come in and do an in-house training with us that month. We're waiting on some components for them for our new truck, so that's delayed things a little bit, but we just did a training just the other day. Again, this will be on next month's report, but we just did a training yesterday over at Warefire because they have the same system over there. So we brought our people over there. We did more hands-on loading, unloading, and everything just to kind of get ahead of the game for when our system comes in. So that's what we've been concentrating on, and we're hoping that we never get in a situation where a patient, you know, it's, again, you have a, you know, patient's weight above the ground, this high off the ground. All it takes is one pebble, one crack where, you know, the stretcher can tip. So we try to keep things as low center of gravity, make sure people are safely loaded in, safely loaded out, and brought in and out of there. So that's something that OEMS is really regulating to make sure that every EMT has at least one-time training every year, if not more than that. So we're trying to do more than that to make sure that we don't have one of those incidents. So working on the budget stuff, the fuel tank was replaced in the ambulance, the current ambulance, so that is that's all set. We're hoping that that will be moving out the door at the beginning of September, and the new one will be coming in. But I think that was a valuable repair for that. I mean, for us, it was a safety thing. We wanted to make sure we got that done, but that was completed. So FY22 was closed with no major issues, and FY23 is open. So we're working on a whole bunch of projects there. So should be good.
Very good. And then the CPR gun device.
Yes.
So you're getting information on that?
Yep. So it's called a Lucas device. This is again a piece of equipment that you're seeing more and more out there. It's a fabulous piece of device. This is all battery powered. It goes around the back of the patient and forms like a halo over the patient's sternum, and it literally does compressions for you. The biggest problem with CPR is that when it's done by humans, you get tired. It's a very physically demanding thing. Anyone that's done CPR, you can only last for a couple minutes, if that. And as soon as you start to tire, the compression rate and the viability of the patient goes down, because, and it's been proven by time and time again, is that, you know, the compressions are not as deep. It doesn't compress the heart the way it needs to. So manual CPR, while it's effective when you need it to be, this machine takes that human factor out of it. As soon as they're placed on it, it'll do the same compressions, the same deepness, the same force every single time, and allow us to breathe for the patient, allow us to do other treatments, you know, whatever medications and stuff like that. We can do all that stuff without having to designate somebody sitting there and switching them out every 2 minutes, because they're getting exhausted from doing CPR. So this is something that, you know, Ware has, Palmer has, Brimfield has, West Brookfield has a couple of them now. So we're one of the only towns in the area that doesn't have one yet. So again, they're newer pieces of equipment. They've only been on the scene for the last few years, but they're becoming an essential essential piece of equipment. So we're hoping we can pick one of those up from ARPA money. I'll provide Jim with that information. But that'd be kind of the last piece of equipment that would bring us up to today's standard of care. So
Yeah, let's definitely get on that, because that's something that we should have. I'm good with getting something like that. You?
Yeah, yeah.
the nice thing too is you can even put it down. One of the biggest problems is you have to stop CPR sometimes to get around downstairs and carry people here, there, and everywhere, because some are tight quarters. That machine can go on a backboard and it can compress while you're carrying that person. You don't miss any of that time. So in terms of effectiveness, it's huge. So.
Yep. Let's definitely get it done.
Yep.
So we'll get the money. So.
Thank you.
All right. Anything else, guys? No? All right. So I think we're good, unless you have any questions for him.
Next meeting.
Yeah. No, unless you have any questions for him, do you?
No, I don't.
Any questions for him? All right. So the next thing is the next meeting. We weren't going to meet next week, next Thursday, but we do have some stuff coming up. So we're going to have to meet next week, next Thursday. Yeah, because we have a couple things that can't wait beyond Friday. So we have to make sure that we do have a meeting. Maybe just a quick one, but we're going to have one to address a couple agenda items. All right, and that is
18th.
it's going to be August 18th at 6 p.m. At here. Okay, and then our following meeting after that would be August 23rd, 6 p.m. And that's going to be in West Brookfield's Town Hall. And that is going to be to discuss the schools and doing looking into a forensic audit of the budget. So we're going to be talking with West Brookfield on that and their selectmen and their, not finance committee, finance advisory committee on that. So if you don't see us here, that's because we're going to be in West Brookfield for that one. All right, and then I think that's it. There was something, next week's meeting might not be televised, so everybody's aware, because WCAT 12, they have some scheduled vacation days, and they don't know if they'll be able to get anybody in here to do the video. So if anybody is concerned, we'll still try to do it via Zoom and Facebook, but it might not go out via WCAT 12 live. We might just take the Facebook feed or the Zoom and put that out as a pre-recorded type thing. All right. So if anybody wants to be part of the meeting next Thursday, you're going to have to come here or be via Zoom. Okay. All right. So
Motion to adjourn?
Second?
all in favor?
Richi Hacker, aye.
Derek Bellis, aye.
David Dufresne, aye. We are adjourned. Okay.